So that was the Chamber of Mines also raising the issue with the takeover of their concessions by illegal miners. And also at that meeting, the Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister actually responded and did say government was deploying new strategy, including the use of helicopters to monitor and address the situation.
Quite some important aircraft that could help in the surveillance in the mining sector, and we want to team up with them as to how we can regulate and mine responsibly in the country. So aircraft has been around and they are sitting in Takoradi, and a very cost-effective aircraft, and that could in a way sit here possibly in Accra and be taking some pictures in the eastern region. So that is how efficient those aircraft are. And you could bear with me that in court we may need some evidence. And it's the reason these aircraft are very important in the sector.
How many of them?
As of now, they've not given the total details, but we hoping to have not less than 4 of these aircraft.
Now, on illegal mining, former secretary to the defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bissiu, has accused the special prosecutor, Kissie Jabin, of intimidation and harassment. He wants Mr. Jabin to rather focus on prosecuting his former client, the investigative journalist Anas Arimeyo Anas, for bribery. Now, Mr. Bissiu had been captured in an investigative piece produced by Anas allegedly receiving bribes. He dismissed the allegation, insisting he will be exonerated by the special prosecutor. Now, he insists the police had already exonerated him in this matter.
The prosecutor is going into the matter. He's actually still investigating it. I believe that I am clean. Did you see the person handing over the cash? Let's allow him to finish. But the special prosecutor is investigating that matter. But like I said, vindication is within the womb of time. Time will tell. And you know, the wheels of justice also grind slowly.
So that was Mr. Charles Bissiu 2 years ago. Now we're hearing of a latest development on this. Court correspondent Joseph Akable joins me via Zoom with more on this developing story. Joseph, what's the basis for this call for the prosecution of Anas by Mr. Bissiu?
And so it has to do with the evidence that is to be relied upon or was used by the special prosecutor for his investigation. And it's that documentary or investigative piece that was put out by Anas Arimeyo Anas. As far as lawyers for Mr. Bissiu are concerned, in that documentary, an individual, a private individual for that matter, is seen handing bribes to certain individuals. And their argument is that in terms of Charles Bissiu, he was investigated by the police service and is done and dusted, he was exonerated. And so if there is any other person who ought to be investigated and prosecuted, is the individual who is captured in the footage offering bribes to individuals who has not been investigated and prosecuted. And so they believe that Anas Arimeyo Anas should be the focus of the special prosecutor, Kissie Jabin, and his office, and not Charles Bissiu, who has already been investigated.
And Joseph, we heard Mr. Bissiu in that sound indicating that he was confident he will be exonerated by the special prosecutor. How come he no longer wants to be investigated?
As far as he is concerned, the mandate of the Office of Special Prosecutor does not permit the office to investigate matters that have been done or entrusted by other investigative agencies. And in this particular instance, they make reference to the police service to indicate that the Ghana Police Service has investigated the matter. And so unless the police service had on its own decided to refer the matter to the special prosecutor for certain action to be taken as part of the investigative process, if that was not what they were doing, then the OSP, if he decides on his own to investigate the matter, will mean that he's effectively reviewing the work that has been done by the police service. And they believe that the OSP Act does not give the office that authority to review the work done by other investigative agencies, and in this particular instance, the Ghana Police Service. And so this is the basis for the argument that he lacks the power to investigate this particular issue.
So what are the specific reliefs they're seeking from the High Court?
The key relief is to ask the court to restrain Kisei Jabin and any other official who acts on his behalf or obtains his authority from the Office of Special Prosecutor from one, investigating him, and two, proceeding to prosecute him on the basis of the investigations arising from the authority derived from that particular office. And so that is the key relief. But the other reliefs, they are also asking to the effect that they want declarations to the effect that the office does not have the mandate to do such investigations and prosecutions, and they do not have the mandate to review the work done by other investigative agencies like the police service, especially in instances where the agencies have not referred the matter to the OSP for investigations.
And Joseph, very finally, what has been, I know you've been working your sources at the OSP, what have they said about this, and what has been the justification of the lawyers of Charles Bishi as far as this move is concerned?
In fact, in December, when we broke the story, our sources within the OSP told us that they had actually concluded investigations and they were set to file charges against him, and they had tried to engage Mr. Bisu, and they were told that he's not in the country, only to be hit with this legal action. Now, the fresh documents that we have actually seeks to make changes to the documents that were filed in December.
Right.
And we understand from the view of the OSP that they believe they have the mandate to do this investigation. They are going to fight it in court on Thursday to ensure that they are not restrained from going ahead with the prosecution. For Mr. Bisu's legal team, they explained to us that they made those changes to the writ because when the special prosecutor issued his half-year report, they realized that he indicated in it that he had concluded the investigation. So the initial writ they filed, they were asking that he be restrained from investigating the matter. So now, learning that he had concluded the investigations as we had reported, right, they now come to amend the charges to indicate that they want the prosecution actually restrained. And so they will are also eager to argue their case on Thursday.
Joseph, thank you very much. We'll see how this pans out in court. That's court correspondent Joseph Akable.